you know, in this world of connected technology, I mean, we just heard about wearables with athletes looking at performance, but one of the big emerging areas in the connected world, and we're going to be talking about a lot of Internet of Things. This is a little different. This is the IoT. This is the Internet of Toys. And we're really pleased to have a super duper expert on the Internet of Toys, and he's so cool he's in shades, so I think he'll describe a little bit of that to us. But to many of you in privacy, Jules Polonetsky needs no introduction. But to those of you who don't know Jules, he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Future of Privacy Forum, and he's going to just take a few minutes here to give us a little demo about some of the connected toys and some of the issues that we face with connected toys. So Jules, I'm going to hand over to you. Take it away.
Thanks so much. I'm from Washington, and I've been reading about these Snapchat spectacles, and I assumed all of you out here in San Francisco, this tech hub, would all be walking around with these, and I'd fit in. But since you're not, and since they actually don't fit over my glasses, and since it might be a challenge to get you all to opt in to share this information on my feed, I'm going to leave them aside. So we recently did a study with our friends at FOSI called Kids in the Connected Home: Privacy in the Age of Connected Dolls, Talking Dinosaurs, and Battling Robots. And there are some people who think we did it just because it was a great excuse to spend some of our office budget on toys. But the reason we really did it was we're all seeing these toys enter the marketplace. The Hello Barbies, the Dino, the Chip. We'll talk about Pokemon. We'll talk about this bracelet, which records, and then dumps every 3 seconds. And so, you go to the supermarket, or, you have an argument with your spouse, and I told you that. You hit your wrist, and you can play back what was just said for 3 minutes after it drops it. So all of a sudden, these things, which sound like they're science fiction, are actually showing up, and they're in our homes, and we're starting to see parents, media, advocates raise questions about what does it mean to have children and video and sound and information about what's happening in their bedroom, in your living room, being transmitted. So we said, let's pay attention, because we need to have a framework so that we understand, does the children's privacy law cover these? Do we need an update? Are there new issues that are novel here? So let's try to unpack it, and I'll share with you a little bit of what we learned. Let's start a little bit first with this always-on notion that we hear about, whether it's a connected toy or whether it's the Alexa or the Google Home or others. I'd like to argue that we should stop calling those devices always on, because there are a class of devices that are always on, and we should distinguish between the ones that are always on, where actually I walk into the room and the fact that I'm there or dressed or what I'm saying is being captured and sent to remote servers where it could be available for companies, for marketing, or for industry, right? There are baby monitors that are on. There are home video cameras that are on. There are devices in my home that are measuring, water and temperature and so forth, and they are always on, and they are always sending data, and we do need to think about those sets of privacy issues and the legal challenges to that data in one place. We probably ought to come up with a better term for these. Maybe it's always ready or always active, because what these devices are doing, the Echo and others, is they're replacing the I will push it with my finger because it's convenient, or maybe I've got a disability, or it's just easier to speak, with a verbal button push, right? They're listening for keywords if they're designed appropriately, right? If they're designed the way, say, the Alexa or the Google Home are, where they're listening for keywords and dumping what they have heard instead of sending it anywhere. And then only when it is open, because I have activated it, you all recall the flap around the Samsung Smart TV, again, where folks thought that it was automatically and always sending stuff, when it actually only did that when you activated it. Doesn't mean there aren't interesting privacy challenges, but I think if we don't have the right terminology between this can do voice recognition, this can do speech recognition, and this is actually always on or always listening, we end up conflating a whole bunch of challenging issues. Okay, now what happens when I start bringing these into toys? So toys and technology, nothing new, right? There have always been remote-controlled games and so forth. There have even been toys I could speak to and pronounce or give a right answer, and the toy would reward me. So what's really new? So let's analyze what is actually new. So first of all, there is a whole new class of sensors that are in some of these things, right? They're collecting video, they're understanding speech. Let's call those smart. Chip. I'm not going to demo him because, as those of you who do live demos know, they always fail. So Chip is a smart dog. He is not connected to the internet. You can connect him and he can upload and so forth. But when I talk to Chip, and he does yoga, he'll sit down, he'll respond if he's petted. My favorite thing is that when his battery runs low on his own, he decides he needs a charge, and he kind of scurries over and he puts his little tush down on his charger, and he charges himself up over there in the corner, right? So he's smart enough to actually stay charged. And if you wear a bracelet, he'll actually follow you around. But he's not sending data back to any company. So what Chip does is not subject to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act because it sits right here. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't maybe social issues or issues with your child thinking and interacting with a piece of machinery, but the data is not being sent out of your home and isn't available for marketing and the like. All right, let's take the class of devices that are connected because they connect to an app and therefore use your phone to be connected to remote servers, or they get on your Wi-Fi. A couple of years ago, the FTC, I think in retrospect brilliantly, although at the time I think a lot of us said, why are you considering these IP addresses or these MAC addresses or these identifiers personal when it comes to kids' data? It's just an address. Well, it turns out that now, because of the fact that connecting to the internet involves using those sorts of identifiers, these devices are subject to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And so they come with significant restrictions. You know the new fines that are now available under COPPA? $40,000 per violation. So that means per violation, per time, per kid. Now the FTC never does that math, but that can come out to be tens of millions of dollars. So significant legal protection already in place if you are a connected device that is sending data over the internet. So some critics have worried. They said, well, you know, I know that when I deal with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, I go to a screen and I give permission and then I can access my kids' data. Well, these don't have screens. So where is it that parents are, you know, giving permission? Well, the reality is the ones that connect to the internet today are leveraging apps. And so the apps are there to make sure that parents can collect and give appropriate permission, access their kids' data. Dino over here actually doesn't look all that exciting, except he's connected to IBM's Watson. So he can answer the most profound questions, hopefully none that are inappropriate for your child, but you got the entire wisdom of the world, but that does mean that that cloud data is there. Now, parents who are watching perhaps are saying, the cloud? Why does my kid's data need to be at the cloud? That chip looked pretty smart to me. But the point of the data being in the cloud is, A, if we want different accents, fast-talking Brooklyn accents like mine, different accents, different languages, I need the cloud intelligence to be chewing through that data, coming up with answers to questions that haven't been raised before, and being able to serve all and actually increasingly get smart. So I do need that data. Now, of course, that means that it has different legal protections than data that is in your home. And so really important to understand that now that data is more available for government access and the like. All right, final word on security, because one of the challenges is, hey, if someone can reach into your home and have this dog turn into a ferocious beast and scare your kid, or grab the video and do something else with it, none of us are going to buy an item like that. And so the key is, are the manufacturers here doing the basics? You don't want Chip being involved in a DDoS attack, you know, against the other homes in your neighborhood either. So it's critical that these folks understand, the manufacturers, that you don't ship things with default passwords. So once the hacker knows one, they get into all the others. Passwords that can't be changed. I don't want to upgrade that firmware and turn them into a vicious animal. So appropriate security protections, no default passwords, whitelists, and we'll make sure that we have safe, privacy-friendly, and secure play. Thanks.